My father always had a garden up in the Hudson Valley. So, I always was exposed to fresh food out of the garden and always had a clear understanding of, where vegetables come from, which I suppose not all city kids grow up with a clear understanding of. Sauerkraut was definitely my gateway drug into fermentation. And once I learned how to make sauerkraut and started thinking about what fermentation was and the idea of the transformative action of microorganisms, I just started experimenting with all sorts of realms of fermentation. I already had done some baking, and I started learning about baking with sourdough. Like many people in our region of the country, I started making what are called country wines, basically sugar wines flavored with all sorts of flowers and fruits and vegetables and anything edible really. We have goats, so I started dabbling in cheese making and made yogurt and started learning about kefir. And then I met somebody who made miso, and I learned how to make miso. And so, one thing led to another, and it just snowballed, and I kind of became the fermentation guy. My interest is helping people to reclaim fermentation as part of a larger project of reclaiming the food that we eat. Fermentation, like all aspects of food production, has always been part of the fabric of human communities. And it's only in the last couple of generations, as food production in general has disappeared into the realm of specialists and disappeared behind factory doors, that fermentation has largely disappeared from people's lives. And this is the reason why it's shrouded in so much mystery for people, because they don't see anybody doing it. And we live in this age of refrigeration where there is tremendous suspicion and fear of any food that has sat outside of refrigeration. People who work in any kind of food service industry have to go through a training where they are told that it's dangerous for people to eat food that has sat outside of refrigeration for more than 4 hours. Well, that might be a reasonable guideline for people working in the food service industry to follow. But I would say, as a truth, it is a lie, because if that were true, none of us would be sitting here. Our species would have perished thousands of years ago. People, because they are clever, observed under what conditions the transformative action of microorganisms could make foods more stable and more safe and more digestible and more delicious, versus those conditions under which the foods would deteriorate and be rendered inedible or inappropriate for consumption. It's great to reinterpret these ancient arts and apply them in new ways or in new combinations or to new ingredients. It's not that I think we need to be wed to exactly the traditional way of doing everything, but I think that the basics of fermentation, the parameters for safety and success are very ancient, and they're not things that require a huge amount of technology, a degree in microbiology, the ability to identify specific microorganisms, the ability to have a completely sterile working environment, or any of those things. This is not rocket science. These are rituals that people have been doing for thousands of years. For the most part, I would say that fermentation is as much art as it is science.